Have you ever wanted to stop time in your life? Or to silence the world for just one day and get lost in a universe of your own? That's what I tried. For 24 hours, I say, I just read a book. It was a challenge, a test against myself, my attention, my body, and my mind. Tick tock, tick tock. When the clock started ticking, I had the first book in my hand. My heart was beating fast because I knew this was not going to be an ordinary day. It was time traveling through pages and pages of time. Imagine no distractions, no phone notifications, no social media feeds, no unnecessary conversations, just you and the books. The words moving between the white pages take you to different worlds like a key. One moment you are a knight in the Middle Ages, the next an astronaut exploring Mars. Emotions, stories, and thoughts replace the clocks, but time still flows. The first hours are exciting. One is motivated. Pages are turned quickly. Every book is like a new discovery. But then, the difficulties begin. Your eyes get heavy, the focus starts to wander, and a voice inside you says, "Take a break." But at that moment, the real struggle begins. During these 24 hours, I faced not only the books, but also my own inner voice. I left my comfort zone. I pushed my limits. I experienced reading as an adventure, not as a duty. And now, I want to share every moment of this journey with you. This video is not a success story, a story of discovery. While running against time, I actually got closer to myself. And maybe you, who watch this video, will be the one who embarks on the next 24-hour book journey. If you are ready, take your coffee and sink into your armchair, because now we're chasing words together. And remember, it's not a race, it's a journey. It's Iro 800. The day begins with the first lines. My hand trembles as I choose my first book. How long will it take to swallow a book? How many pages will I read per hour? Numbers are spinning in my head. But then I say to myself, this is not a race. This is an experience. First book, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Different versions of life, regrets, and possibilities. Ironic, isn't it? I'm living an alternative day right now. By devoting one day entirely to books, I am in an unorthodox reality. It was easy to fall into the book. My coffee was still hot. The mind was fresh. The pages flowed quickly. But as the hours passed, things began to change. By lunchtime, I was on to my second book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. The transition from fiction to the real world. Habits, behaviors, and the power of small steps. I was examining my own behavior. 24 hours of focusing on one thing. Wasn't that an experiment in habit in itself? I started to try different positions on the sofa. I stretched my legs. I lay on the floor. I rearranged the cushions. As I tried not to lose my physical comfort, the mental struggle became harder. At one point, I caught myself looking at the page, but not reading. My eyes were on the lines, but my mind was elsewhere. At that moment, I realized how active a process reading is. Reading a book is not just a visual act. It is literally a state of mental existence. You have to be on those pages. Otherwise, the words only pass in front of your eyes, never reaching your mind. Towards evening, my eyes started to get red. I put on music to focus. I set a dim light, and I moved on to my third book, Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. This book silenced me, slow, serene, but profound. An artificial intelligence questioning humanity, searching for its own place. I was looking for my place in this marathon. There was a strange peace in being alone with myself. When the clock passed midnight, the outside world was completely silent. The light of the street lamps illuminated my room, and I was still reading. Part of me wants to quit, but the other part of me resisted completing the experience. That's when I realized it wasn't just the experience of reading a book, it was a process of confronting yourself. You hear how much your mind talks in silence, and books hold a mirror to this inner dialogue. It's 07:58. Last page, last line, Last sentence. The end of a book is also the end of this 24-hour journey. I take a deep breath. It's as if I've been holding my breath for hours and finally let go of the burden inside me. And I think of only one thing. I really did it. 3 books, 870 pages, a few cups of coffee, hundreds of underlined sentences, and more importantly, countless thoughts, inquiries, feelings. What I gained in those 24 hours was not just a series of books or statistics, it was a silent pact with time and with myself. I sat in silence for a while. My eyes were burning, but I was at peace. I had never felt so alone and so full at the same time. At that moment, I realized reading is not just an action. Reading is a state of awareness. Listening to yourself, silencing external sounds, meeting the universe inside you. The biggest thing this marathon taught me was how transformative books are. A well-written paragraph can resolve an internal conflict that lasts for months. A character's dilemma can reveal what you cannot solve. Books don't just carry information or stories. Sometimes they're mirrors, sometimes lenses, and sometimes they are just a friend. A friend who stands silently by your side, who does not judge you, but understands you. In this process, I felt time very differently. The hours grew longer, then shorter. Time seemed to stop at some moments. I lost myself so much in the middle of a book that I didn't realize what time it was, whether it was night or morning. At those moments, reading a book was no different from living. I was tired, yes, but this fatigue was the kind that grows the soul, not depletes it. Your muscles ache, but they grow. This was that kind of pain. My mind had worked. My emotions had been needed. And I, by the end of those 24 hours, had become another version of myself. Now that I think about it, these 24 hours were like a small model of life. Ups, downs, boredom, excitement, patience, and satisfaction. Each book was a period. Every line is an experience. And to live this experience, it wasn't just about taking the time. It was about courage. The courage to stop the world for a day. The courage to return to yourself, and the courage to find meaning in the silence. What about you? If you could stop time for a day, which book would you start with? Which character's story would you dive into? And what would you learn about yourself at the end? Leave it in the comments. Share this video with other bookworms. And if one day you do your own 24-hour reading marathon, don't forget, it's not just the pages read that you win. Maybe it will be a perspective you will carry with you throughout your life. Books save us not from loneliness, but from running away from ourselves. As we read, we change. And as we change, we deepen.